Welcome to the Training Babble podcast. I'm your host, Dave Schell, and today I am joined by clueless runner Kevin Goldberg. Kevin, how's it going?
It's going well. Thanks for having me, Dave. I'm not a clueless runner. I'm clueless to the mountain bike world. I have a lot of clues when it comes to running. I don't know anything about mountain biking or cycling or any of those fun two-wheel activities.
That's true. Yeah. So I guess I messed it up in the intro. So you're going to be the clueless cyclist, right? You're going to be at the expo for Leadville over the next few days and doing interviews with the pros. You are an expert runner. You've done lots of 200 milers. You've done 100 milers. You're well versed in the trail running world. Cycling's maybe not your forte.
Yeah. I mean, I own a bike. I know how to ride a bike, but and I've done some things, but it's all very, very, very informal, and I couldn't tell you one elite person or one contender who is lining up for the Leadville 100 mountain bike here this week. I could tell you a few friends I have riding it, but I couldn't tell you like one famous person, so to speak.
Yeah, so I think it makes perfect sense that you'll be the one interviewing them in a couple days.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be great. It's a fun shtick.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to have you on, even though you're not that, like you're not necessarily a mountain biker and stuff like that. You're very well versed with Leadville. You spend a lot of time up there. You have a house up there. You've done the Leadville Trail 100. You coach lots of athletes for that. So, and like you said, you have lots of friends who've done the mountain bike as well. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about the new course changes that were just released earlier this week.
Yeah, and perhaps most importantly, Dave, is I was available too, is one of the things that...
You were a warm body. Yeah. You have a pulse.
But, for what it's worth, I specifically the reroute, the new miles of the mountain bike course here for 2026, I spent the majority of early 2026 running those roads. I mean, I logged maybe 20 plus reps on that entire reroute portion around Turquoise Lake, past the golf course in Leadville, on County Road 5. That's where I did most of my winter training this year. So I'm very familiar with the roads that you'll now be riding.
Yes. Intimate familiarity with it. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. And so I guess let's just start by talking about what's changed. And we didn't know what the new course was going to be. It seemed like at one point maybe the race wouldn't happen, and then they announced it would happen, but didn't say what that course would look like. And when they finally announced it, essentially they cut out Hagerman Pass, Sugarloaf, and Powerline, which, if you've never done the race before, it's pretty significant. Like, that's a pretty iconic part of the course. And it's in spending a lot of time looking at this yesterday and like really analyzing the course and what kind of impact it's going to have. Like, it's going to have a pretty big impact on the times this year, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it from like much faster course, just taking a look at comparing, say, your Strava that you sent me from last year to what they're putting out as the course this year, it just strikes me as a much, much faster course. I have run Powerline in both directions, again, probably north of 20 times. And, you're going to save a lot of time on these new reroutes versus climbing or hiking and descending Powerline for sure.
Yeah. And so we'll come back to that. And I think it's interesting because, and this is part of the thing that kind of caught me off guard, is they changed the buckle times and people were kind of up in arms because it's like more aggressive, where historically it was 12 hours for the small buckle and under 9 hours for the big buckle. Now it's 11:15 for the small buckle and 8:15 for the big buckle. And it's so 45 minutes difference. But as I look at this, and maybe I'm missing something, but it seems like it's going to be faster than 45 minutes. I mean, just on the way out, I think you'll say 45 minutes. And then, like you said, on the way back, not having to hike Powerline, you're easily going to save another 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm thinking of this, when I see this map, I'm looking at it from my runner's perspective. I can put myself in the spot where the course diverts, and if I was to make a right and continue around Turquoise, go up Hagerman, go up Power Line, just to connect to like County Road 5A where the course comes out, I mean, running that would take me 2-ish hours. And if I ran the other way, the new way that it's going for 2026, and made a left off Carter Summit, descended all around Turquoise Lake, popped out on County Road 5, made a right on 5A, probably about an hour or so. So that's 50% reduction in time.
Right. And that's just one direction.
Yeah.
Right. You're talking about the run, like running out, not even like the return route. And
you're probably getting more of a savings on the way back because now fatigue is a much bigger factor, whereas your power line on the second go is slower. Just you're gassed, and now you can sort of easy pedal the road back, and even if it's slightly uphill, you're going to be moving. I mean, I don't know, again, I'm clueless here, but let's say you're going to be moving 10 to 12 miles an hour versus hiking 4 miles an hour at power line.
Yeah, it's huge. And so yeah, we'll just kind of like go through segment by segment, because looking at this course, I kind of break it into segments based on what the terrain is, what the grade is, and things like that. And so talking about the first segment, it's a road start. It's always very fast. And I mean, you're also in a group of a ton of people. And so we see speeds there that are like 35 miles an hour until it hits the first dirt section. And so that's very fast. That hasn't changed. Then you make the turn onto the dirt road, and it's like a false flat, pretty good dirt road, still a ton of people. That's also somewhat flat or somewhat fast. Then you hit the St. Kevin's climb, and if you're in one of the like corrals that are further back, that can be a wall of people. And so chances are, like, there's a good chance it's going to be hike-a-bike, not because you can't ride it, just because there's so many people that as soon as somebody's wheel slips or something like that, you're off your bike and pushing. You get to that, like, once you get past that point, then it flattens out a little bit. You have some like single and double track. It's pretty good dirt. It's fun. It's fast. And then we get to the point where you said, historically, we've made a right turn onto the road, but now we're going to make a left turn onto the road. From what I've heard, I have not ridden this myself, but like you said, you're intimately familiar with it.
Yeah.
It's similar grade, but there's like blind corners, potholes, sand in the kind of edges. Like, is that what you've seen as you're running it?
I mean, this is when I'm running it, I'm probably not too concerned about, sand and potholes, and
right.
my brain is probably like filtering those things out pretty effectively because they're not really impacting my path of travel. But that's not exactly my memory. I mean, it's a lightly maintained road, but I would say it's in pretty good shape. I mean, especially compared to, riding up Hagerman, which is dirt and potholey and bumpy, and then Power Line, which is, even worse. It's a paved road. When you're going to make that left turn, it's going to be a pretty long, fast downhill. Yeah, there's some twists and turns, but, for the average experienced cyclist, I think it's going to be minimal slowing down. Like, it's a pretty bombable downhill. I think even I would be able to move pretty quickly on a bike on this road for sure. Like, I would be expected to go fast.
Yeah, and so on that note, I mean, just like the old course, it's like when you get to that section, really getting small, so putting your dropper post down, getting low, and just like going as fast as you can, because it's essentially free speed. And I think, and it's all kind of like slightly downhill and road until you get to Outward Bound, where in years past, you'd have to go up Hagerman and then Sugarloaf and then descend Power Line. And the challenge with descending Power Line is there's a shit ton of people. There's not good lines. It can be loose. It can be blown out. It can be rutted out. And so even if you have the skills to go fast, if there's a bunch of people in front of you, you're still on your brakes and not able to go as fast as you would like. And so here it's like you've essentially like removed all that and you can just go as fast as you want to.
Yeah, I will say, so when you make that left onto Turquoise Lake Road, you've got about a 3.5 mile really steady descent on the north side of the lake. There's going to be almost zero climbing at all. It's really steep downhill. When you get to the east side of the lake, there is like a 2-mile stretch where there are some punchy uphills that you'll have to, pedal to maintain speed for sure. So I would, there's some noticeable climbs on that east side of the lake, but nothing compared to, Hagerman Power Line. It's just wanted to call it out that it's not like pancake flat to downhill. There are some punchy climbs on that east side of the lake before you hit County Road 5. But again, on a bike, they're going to be much less impactful than on foot.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always hard to tell. Like I'm looking at Ride with GPS right now and have that section highlighted. And it's like a lot of times the elevation profile doesn't do it justice. And so here it looks like pretty mild climbs, but like you said, they're probably a little bit more punchy than it's showing here. But again, like this should be fast. And if you're with people, if you can like work in groups, that's going to help you conserve energy as well. And that should, again, by my estimate, I'm thinking like 30 or 40 minutes from Carter Summit to Outward Bound, where in the past going over Power Line, it might have been more like hour 20 or so.
Yeah. So what's that going to be? We're at like just over 10 miles to the top of Carter Summit, and then Outward Bound is going to be
like
this year
22.7.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be a really fast 10 or so miles there.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's like as I work through this, I keep thinking I'm making a mistake or forgot to carry the one or something, but it's looking pretty damn fast.
Yeah, no, it is. And again, like I ran this all winter. My friend lives right off Power Line on County Road 5A. So starting from his place, like would run these roads all winter while the trails were snowy and then subsequently on fire. So,
yeah. And so then we get to Outward Bound, and now and we were talking about this, I think, before we started recording, is like, as much as we're like, oh, the whole course has changed and everything, like really not that much has changed. It's like 10 miles that's different. But so like at this point we're to Outward Bound, and now it's back to the normal course. And so it's pretty straightforward. Outward Bound is double track through some grass and stuff like that. So pretty pedally. If wind's out there, then that can be a bit of a factor. Then it's some road, and then you hit Power Line, which is also double track. A little bit of single track or pipeline, right? Sorry. Pipeline, double track can be a bit bumpy and stuff like that. A little bit of single track, which is like a mile or so. Then some roads and dirt roads through neighborhoods, cross the highway, go to Twin Lakes. Then you go to Lost Canyon, and then it's Columbine. And so Columbine, they changed a little bit this year also, where previous to 2023, you would go down to the mine and then have to come back up. And then they changed that in 2023, and you just kind of like did a loop at the top, but now they brought it back. But it doesn't add a ton, but it might add a little bit of time to Columbine than it has over the last few years.
Yeah, I didn't notice that until you just said that. I'm looking at the differences now. But yeah, I mean, it's compared to the other changes. I mean, this is nothing.
Yeah, it seems significant, but it should be rideable. I think like it's not horrible up there. It's not like Goat Trail or anything. So it's just more of a, yeah, I think it makes it just a little bit harder because you descend a bit and then have to come back up, where before it was like you did a loop and then just started descending again.
Did you hike at all on Columbine?
Yeah, and that's like, I think most people, for a couple of factors, unless you're at the like front of the race, chances are you're going to be hiking the Goat Trail on Columbine. So like, even if you had the energy to ride it, typically there's so many people there that you like, as soon as somebody's wheel slips, then you're off the bike and you're pushing anyway. So most people are going to be hiking the last couple miles of Columbine. And so at that point, you lose a little bit of time there. And it's hard. But then once you get to the top, it becomes rideable again, and then you should be able to descend. But it's like, it is pretty technical and loose and baby heads and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the grades on Columbine. I mean, I'd be hiking it.
Yeah, and that's just it. It's like, it's steep, but it's also loose and off camber and like just all these things. So it's like, I was actually looking the other day, and like on Strava comparing some of my Columbine times. And in the race, it was like 20 minutes slower because of the hiking and fatigue and stuff like that. So definitely count on some hiking there. And like I also say that like Columbine, because there's so many people, it's like two-way traffic. And so even though the grades aren't that crazy going up Columbine, there's going to be people bombing down and like taking wide turns and almost hitting you head on. And so like the traffic creates its own difficulties as well.
Do you think the changes in the cutoffs will like be the like accommodation that they hope? Like, do you think you'll see a similar amount of big buckles and small buckles, or do you think it won't catch up and there'll be more or less? Like, what's your prediction for like the postmortem of this race?
I know I don't want to like I'm so worried about misspeaking or that I've missed something, but so with the stage race, they didn't really account for that, and they ended up giving way less buckles than they typically do because of the way they decided to do it. And so I think they overcorrected for that, and that's why I made the comment about like, yes, they adjusted it by 45 minutes, but I really feel like this course is going to be faster than 45 minutes. So I feel like there's going to be more buckles than there were historically. Again, just because power line is so much of this race, and so just not having power line, I think it's going to make it so much faster.
Yeah. No, I mean, if I'm thinking of it from like what the run's going to look like, which the rumors are that the run is essentially going to be the same beginning as the bike, and then it'll switch to Hope Pass versus Columbine, but same. I mean, power line is so slow, like especially on the way back, people are crawling. And even if you're crawling on Turquoise Lake Road on the return, you're going to be able to walk and move efficiently versus like dragging.
Exactly. And like, so last year was the first year I had done this race. I've coached lots of people for it, but I've never done it myself. And I didn't realize how much traffic played into it. And so like when I was coming back from Twin Lakes, and you get through Outward Bound and you're starting to ride up power line, and you just see a line of people pushing their bikes. And so again, like even if you had the energy to ride, there's just too many people. So it's like you can't ride because you can't ride through all those people. And so you end up hiking even if you don't need or want to. So yeah, that's a huge impact, is not, I mean, let alone the very steep pitch on power line that most people are going to be hiking. Like people were starting with the first switchback. So the grade isn't that bad at that point, but people had just kind of like given up at that point and started pushing their bike. And so you have to do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's tough. There's not a ton of like real estate to pass and like, yeah, on power line there, especially, even if you have the energy to ride it, you might not have you might not be at 100% with your bike handling skills at mile 75, 80. So
yeah, it's huge. And then on, like you just said, like, I think, so the big things I think with these changes is 1, there's no power line. 2, that means no hike-a-bike. And 3, it's all roads. So they replaced all that dirt section with road section. And so like you said, it's like you're going to be fatigued, but it's all going to be rideable at this point. And it's like, it's a more moderate grade. Yes, it's kind of a slog and you're doing it forever, but it's like, it's going to be significantly easier than pushing your bike up power line.
I mean, I think even if you're soft pedaling, you're going to be moving more than double the speed you would be going up power line, even if you're just like spinning in the lowest gear. And I think, to your point, traffic is in both directions is going to be significantly less of an issue, because when you get to power line, it narrows to, it's a double track. It's a wide for a trail, but it's not a road. It's not a two-way traffic, motor vehicle road. And now that is what you're on. You're on a two-way traffic motor vehicle road where like, even if the field is still thick, like you're going to be able to maneuver and kind of go the speed you want. And then on the way back, forget about it. Like, it's probably going to be open road for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I like the other thing we didn't talk about. So you get to power line, you push your bike up, you finally get to the part where it like flattens out a little bit and there's a big party up there. But past that point, there's still a lot of technical steep riding that you have to do, which is also very hard after just pushing your bike for 20 minutes or whatever. Again, like famous last words, but I think this return is going to be significantly easier than going up Powerline.
Yeah, and I ran Powerline quite a bit this year before the fire, and it was, every year it seems like it's slightly more rutted out. It seems like it's slightly more, rocks in more places. It does seem to, I feel like the power company is supposed to maintain that road, and I spent a lot of time hanging out in that area, living in that area, and I don't ever really see any maintenance happening. So it does seem to degrade a little bit each year. So any sand or hairpin turns on that paved road is going to pale in comparison to the actual pitfalls of Powerline.
And that's such a great point, because I was out there, I think we were out there in May, and we rode Powerline, and it was in bad shape.
We ran into each other.
That's right. Yeah, at the bottom of Powerline. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was like, it was bad shape. Like,
funny enough,
super
that day
out.
I was walking back from a race that took place on the reroute, and so that's one of the times I ran that road was back on Carter Summit. And we were walking back from the finish of the Turquoise Lake 20K, which was like actually a 30K. But anyway,
what's 10K?
Because that was rerouted too.
Oh, too funny. Yeah. And so like at that time, like you said, so it was bad shape then, and it probably would have been worse shape now after everybody riding it and stuff like that. And so, that's the funny thing is like people call Leadville a gravel race on mountain bikes and stuff like that. And I've said the same thing, but like descending Powerline is legit. Like you need to have some skills. It is rutted out. Like there is a lot of risk. It's very steep. So it's like, not having that is going to totally change the complexion of this race.
Yeah.
So then you get to Carter Summit again, and then we're just like, again, back on the normal course. I think probably the last tricky part here is descending back down St. Kevin's, which can be steep and loose, lots of baby heads. It's a great opportunity to go down or puncture. And so and you're tired at this point. And so you need to be careful through that section because you're almost home at this point, and so you just need to stay on task. Get down that. Then I think the last big kind of piece of this is the boulevard, which everybody builds up and says how horrible it is, and it is rough when you're almost to the end of the race, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be. And so it's kind of loose. There's some baby heads, and it's just like a bunch of double track that seems to go on forever. And so you just, at that point, need to keep on pedaling, and you'll get to the end.
I guess I never realized that the mountain bike finished on obviously finishes on 6th Street, but the final miles are on County Road 36, which is the same as the run. So you come across and make that sharp left turn onto County Road 36, where it's probably only 0.2 of a mile. So starting at mile 98 for 2026 course, that's a really steep pitch when you get on County Road 36. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Exactly. And it's but I think so it can mess with you, and it can be rough, but at the same time, you're starting to hear people, you're starting to see the finish, and so it gives you that extra oomph to just put whatever you have left at that point, and then kind of time trial to the finish, because it's a slight uphill grade all the way to the finish. Yeah. And you kind of crest that hill, you see the finish, and then it's just empty the tank at that point.
Yeah. No, and it's short. It does. I mean, it's uphill the whole way, but the grade isn't too bad, except for that first, when you make that left, it's at the end, I think it's probably less than a quarter mile, but it's rough, and it's loose, and it's steep. And then it turns into a really well-maintained dirt road with a much better grade.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think we covered this pretty well. Do you have anything else that jumps out at you when you look at this year's course compared to previous year's courses?
Well, the mountain bikers miss a lot of things. On that County Road 36 at night, there's a bunch of salamanders that come out on that road, which is pretty cool. You don't expect there to be salamanders up in Leadville, but they are, and they're neat. So you won't see those because at the latest you'll be there in late afternoon, and that's more of an overnight thing. Same goes for the start. Everything will be in the day for you guys. So it's, has a different glow at night at 4 a.m. when you're under headlamp. But no, I mean, I just agree with I do think it's going to be a much, much faster course this year. I think there'll be a lot more room for maneuvering and sort of riding your own race than in previous years. So I think, and that could be a blessing or a curse. Like take that for what it's worth, and do with it what you will. Like you're going to be able to go out a lot harder, I think, than you have in the past for an extended period of time.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing. Like I said, I spent a lot of time yesterday looking at past years' checkpoints and like median times for like the different aid stations and stuff like that, trying to come up with new pacing targets. And yes, because it in theory should be shorter, it should allow you to go out harder, but that could also bite you if later in the day. And I think the other thing that I'm kind of looking at the moment is it's calling for rain in the afternoon, and so that could totally change the complexion of this race too if all of a sudden it's like a downpour afternoon. So yeah, that's to say, like, be cautiously optimistic, like hope for the best, plan for the worst.
I also say that, I mean, chances are people are probably already in Leadville if they're listening to this. We're what are we, 3 days away from race day here. If you see smoke, over to the west, like that's still very, very normal. We're seeing smoke every day here. It depends on the weather. It's all, happening behind the containment line. So don't freak out and think there's a new fire that popped up. I think a lot of people are under the assumption that the fire is out. It is merely contained and controlled, but it is still very much smoldering, and activity does kind of flare up pretty frequently. So don't freak out if you see smoke. Yeah,
that's a good tip there.
But air quality has been really good.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, so we've been dealing with a ton of smoke down here in Longmont, Boulder, the Front Range. But it's interesting, like we can barely see the foothills, but then the AQI has been pretty low, like 60 or so, which isn't horrible.
Yeah.
So just because you see smoke doesn't mean the AQI is harmful.
Yeah. Bouncing back between the Front Range here and Leadville, I feel like more often than not, the air quality has been better in Leadville than it is down here. So hopefully, especially if there's moisture in the area, even if it's not actively raining, that will help with the air quality too. So it should be a fun weekend. I'll also say, if you're staying in Leadville and you're at an Airbnb or something, as a Airbnb owner up there, we have had bears nearly every night sniffing around. I think a lot of animals are displaced from the fire, so please do not leave food in your car. Make sure your outside of your house is clean and tidy, and you're watching out for wildlife, because it's been a decade in Leadville, and I've never seen a bear or a moose, and I've seen 4 or 5 bears this season and like 4 moose. So it's been a really weird year.
Yeah, you've had one that keeps visiting your house and stealing your trash.
Well, he stole the
construction
trash
trash.
And now he just keeps coming back and walking around.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're at the expo, keep an eye out for Kevin. He'll be doing some interviews with some of the pros, I think. And
supposedly.
Stop by and see him, say hi. And where can people find you?
I'll be hanging out at the Tailwind tent. I'll be there probably Thursday from about 2 to 5 p.m. And then sort of randomly Friday, just popping in by the Tailwind tent. You might find me hanging out at the Training Peaks tent. I'll be decked out in probably a Tailwind shirt and a Distance to Empty podcast hat.
Perfect. Yeah. So tell us about your podcast.
It talks about zero mountain biking, zero cycling. We focus on multi-night races, generally 200-plus mile ultra marathons. It's the best podcast out there.
Yeah, agreed. I'm so lucky to have you on. Awesome. Thanks for your time.
Dave, speaking of my podcast, you got to do something that I do on my podcast to end yours here.
Which is...
So Peter and I play a game called Let's Get Deep. It's a card game for couples.
Yep.
There are 3 levels of intimacy: icebreaker, deep, and deeper. And I'm going to ask you one of each, and you're going to have to answer them.
All right, hit me.
All right, your icebreaker. Who was your favorite teacher growing up, and why?
Oh man, I think my favorite teacher growing up was Mr. Hogue. He was my my Shakespeare teacher, and he was just, I don't know, he taught it in such a way that just like made you care about it and like super passionate about it. And like we even had like a Shakespeare night where we had to dress up like characters from some Shakespeare play and talk in iambic pentameter and all that fun stuff. So
nice.
Yeah, shout out to Hogue.
All right. Deep for you. Which fictional character do you relate the most to and why?
I think you'll agree with it. Probably Eeyore.
If you see Dave at Leadville, give him a hug. He needs a hug.
I mean, I think there's a lot that I could relate to, but that's the easiest one.
Yeah, I don't think I would have come to that conclusion on my own, but yeah, that's a slam dunk. All right, deeper. If you had to marry one of your friends, who would you choose and why?
Oh, geez.
And just to be clear, I'm not interested.
Man, I mean, this, like, the fatal flaw in this question is that it assumes I have friends.
Yeah, that's true. And one you're close enough to marry. Like, I mean, I can't think of any for you.
Yeah, I mean...
Eeyore's not married.
Who?
Eeyore.
Yeah, exactly. Piglet? Married Piglet?
There you go.
Yeah, I'll have to end with that.
Okay, perfect. Well, this was fun. Hopefully, I don't know if I actually contribute anything, but hopefully people have a good ride out there. I think it's going to be really fun. I'm so grateful that the events are happening.
Yeah, me too. I'm super excited. I think it's going to be a fast, fun race. So I'm excited to get going.
Sweet.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.